Hi, Claude Whitacre here. I'm a sales trainer. I give speeches and talks on selling, prospecting, closing sales. I speak to groups really only of groups of salespeople or groups of people that own their own business. So if you're a person whose income is derived depending on how well you sell, you probably want to listen to this. Okay? Well, a lot of times when I'm giving speeches, somebody will ask me a question from the audience. And something that I get fairly often is this. They'll say, Claude, I'm thinking about, I don't like to do prospecting. Should I just hire somebody to do the prospecting for me? Well, my answer, depending on the type of prospecting that they're doing, the kind of industry that they're in, almost always I recommend that they do their own prospecting. Even if you're cold calling, I recommend that you do it on your own. And here's why. Think of selling as dating, okay? The sale is getting married. When you marry let's say you're a guy, you marry a woman, that's the sale, okay? The first date, what do? On the first date, which is prospecting, by the way, which is, let's say, cold calling. On the first date, would you say, I'm thinking I might be interested in this girl, but I want to make sure I'm not going to go myself on that date. I'm going to send a friend of mine in my place, and then, he can talk to her, and he can take notes and all that, and then he can tell me whether he thinks that I should talk to her later, or if I should be interested in marrying her, if I should be interested in a relationship. Okay, does that make any sense to you? No, that doesn't make any sense at all. Here's why I recommend that you do your own prospecting. See, prospecting is not a separate part of the sale. Prospecting is the first half of the sale. Okay? Prospecting is building the relationship until you're actually in front of that person. It's the tone of your voice. The first 10 seconds probably you're on the phone with somebody to make an appointment. They're establishing whether they like the way that you talk, the way you answer questions. You're deciding if you want to see them. That's another thing. I got to tell you, one thing I always hated when I used to go on appointments that were set by somebody else, I would get there and I would find out, let's say it was a husband and wife and they were supposed to both be there. I'd find out that the husband wasn't there. And I'd say, well, did the girl on the phone tell you that both of you are supposed to be there? Oh, she might have mentioned it, but I'm not really sure, but it's okay, go ahead and you just show me. And I go, okay. Well, what I knew was this. There was about a 3% chance if it was a wife only that she was going to go ahead and buy my product. There was about a 50 or 60% chance if there was a wife and husband together that they were going to buy my product. So very, very quickly I figured out that's not what I wanted to do. But see, if I'm the one prospecting, I know that we agreed that both of them would be there. See, I knew what the agreement was. I knew what was said. I know that if they were him-hawing around about it, I knew if they had a question. I knew all of these things. I'm the one that got the directions. Have you ever gone on an appointment that somebody else set for you, and the directions are the flight of fancy that makes no sense at all? Okay, I used to have a wonderful girl that set my appointments in an organization I worked for. She set all the appointments, and she was very good, and she was very nice, and she was very good at her job. But there was something wrong with her. She couldn't tell the difference between left and right. And when you're setting appointments and getting directions, that's kind of important. But if it was 4 turns to get to the house, there was a 50-50 shot on each of those turns whether this was going to be correct or not. So that's why all of the salespeople had maps, because if it said turn left on Main Street, we didn't know. There's a 50-50 shot that really it was turn right on Main Street, so we had to have a map. So that's one of the reasons you want to make your own appointments, because you want to make sure that you have the information that you need to decide if that person is the kind of person that you want to have as a client, and you can determine yourself if there's a really, really good chance that there's going to be a sale there. Okay? My suggestion is you always set your own appointments. It's just my suggestion. It's probably one of the best investments of your time is setting your own appointments. The second best investment of your time, in my experience, is when you're on a presentation and just one more closing attempt. So those two things, making your own phone calls, setting your own appointments. The other thing is one more closing attempt. That's my advice. If you'd like to know more, which there's lots and lots and lots more, may I suggest that you read my book, Sales Prospecting, The Ultimate Guide to Finding Highly Likely Prospects You Can Close in One Call. I'd love to have you read it. Okay, and tell me what you think. Thank you. Bye-bye.